Hello and welcome to my Magnet Warrior deck profile. For those of you who have been following this channel, first of all, thank you. And second of all, you will know that this is my second rendition of the Magnet Warrior deck profile for this current, Burst Protocol format. So not much has changed with the deck, but I just kind of wanted to like check back in because the last deck list that I made at regionals was honestly kind of full of faults because I was honestly, not in the greatest state of mind to explain how this deck works. But today I am, so I'm just going to make sure I give a better deck profile so I can also better explain some how this deck works. So as for ratios, I think Magnet Warrior as a deck is more solved than not. So it's kind of the same. 3 Beta the Magnet Warrior, 3 Conduction Warrior Linear plus Magnet plus minus, 3 Sigma minus, and then 2 Sigma plus. The reason why you play these ratios and not other ones is really simple. For beta, you want to max out on consistency. This deck is very consistent. You can afford to play a lot of non-engine. However, you still want to have all your starters. All of these cards represent a starter on your own. The best starter to have is always plus minus, but the second best is beta, and then sigma minus with any single other magnet warrior card in this deck is combo. So you do, or not magnet warrior, any rock. So it is combo, so you want to see one of these in your opener, and these are all really good. Why you play Sigma Plus at 2 instead of 1 is because of the fact that you want to have that consistency, and sometimes this card just gets randomly domed in the grind game. If you play Fiendsmith version of this deck, though, it's fine to play this at 1, and it's also suggested. 1 Epsilon, 1 Omega Plus, 1 Delusion. Epsilon is a crazy card as an extender. However, you don't want to play more of it because it isn't a play starter in its own right. Omega Plus is great. It does a lot of interaction, especially in game states where you need to grind out. And then Delusion is just a good card in general, and you do need to play as your level 8 Magnet Warrior. Then we go to the Magnet Warrior spells. We play 3 Magnet Bonding. This card's crazy. I wish there was a way to cycle it, but there isn't. And then 1 Induction. So in the previous Niagara video, I didn't really explain why you don't play Induction, but Induction is a really good card, and it is a little bit of a shame I didn't talk, or rather play or explain why I didn't play this one. The reason why I didn't play it before was because a lot of the hands generically, you could basically end on combo by the fact that you usually end up with one or two of like the cards that you would need for it already in hand. However, this is just to up consistency more. Induction does kind of start plays on its own, so that's why it's there. Although frankly, when you're going second, you usually cut this card out because you can afford to not have it. But it's also just a nice to have to make sure combos are more consistent. Then the honorary Magnet Warrior card Researcher. I do see some people side out Researcher, but I do believe that is incorrect for the fact that this card does help extend plays, and it's also like it's not your normal summon ever, so it's usually, I think, nicer to have. However, I do understand the reason why they sided out. Then the newer card I did put in the main now is Komaki Meru Guardian. Originally when I tested for Niagara, I had this in the main, but I took it out last minute because I was listening to other people who didn't play the deck, which was in hindsight very stupid, frankly. So now we're playing Komaki Meru Guardian in the main. This card's phenomenal. However, it does really suck to draw 2 of this, and it usually also sucks more when you have to contest with it for a normal summon. I still would play this at 3 though. It is pretty good. Unfortunately, now people are using more Charmies in the draw phase instead of in the main phase, so this isn't as good. However, this is still like a generally like pretty good card to have. Then 3 Duotyrion. You could play the Infernal Punishment, but I think 3 Duotyrion's fine. It used to be better because of the fact that people didn't know what this card did or this deck did, but as Magnet Warrior has become more popularized, it's now been like kind of like, oh, I just ash like, bonding instead of this card. 1 Nibiru. Nibiru, you just can grab and combo, helps insulate boards. I use it to like prevent like rise yields from extending too much. 3 Super Poly, and then for the rest of the non-engine and then board breakers and stuff like that, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Perulia, 3 Fulos, and then 3 Imperm to round it out. There is other hand traps you could play in this deck, but frankly, these are just the good like format ones. Moving on to the extra deck, we play 2 of the level 7 fusion, 1 Flux Exhaustion Field. Don't change these ratios, these are perfect. If you're playing the Fiendsmith version, you can play 1 of these and you can get away with that. 1 Exciton Knight, 1 Gallon Granite, and 1 Baguska. Honestly, you could drop the Baguska. This should be a Go Goliath. Go Goliath lets you make like half boards under Droll, which is pretty good. Exciton Knight you shouldn't cut. It's even better with the Fiendsmith version, but I prefer the pure one because of the fact that I'm a little bit brain rotted and like saying the word Sigma a lot. And then IP, SP, Gorgon, and Underworld. Gorgon is really good. I didn't understand why people played it before, but now that I read it a few times and have been playtesting with it, I see why it is good. Underworld's still just a really good card. You should like keep it just so you to make sure like this is like the unexpected card, and because it's unexpected, it is better. And then one Nat Beast and one Barkion. The real reason I'm playing this deck is because I love Naturia. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. It's just unfortunate that I don't have an opportunity to play the Naturia cards. Now, you may call me cringe, but come on. Like, you got a bit of, like, a kid in you, you know? Where you're at least, like, if you still play children's card game at our age, you gotta still have a little bit of, like, joy in life, you know? Which is why we're playing Naturia, Barkion, and Beast. And also because it's a cool ghost rare. And then for the super poly targets, we only play Garuru and Mud Dragon. To be frank with you, you should not be playing more than this ever. If you haven't set up a solid board after breaking with Magnet Warrior, it's usually just unfortunate. And if you have the super poly at that point still, it just doesn't make sense. Although, I'll elaborate more in the comments if you are interested. Don't play the Saint Azamina. I think it's bait and it cuts off of other toolbox options that you can play in the extra deck. I did play it during regionals and I really hated it. I used it once and the one time it came out was fucking worthless. Garura and Mud Dragon is pretty good. You could play another Mud Dragon if you think you're funny and really need to get the other recursion card, but both just one of each is fine. Super Poly doesn't come up as much as you would expect, frankly, in like matchups. Like playing against Exo Sister, it's never going to come up. Like, but it's just good to have these two as your targets, and then one Typhon. Typhon's great. And then going on to the side deck, not much has changed. 3 Retaliating Thief, 2 Droll and Lockbird, 2 of the Pankratops, 1 Talents, 1 Called By, 1 Duster, 3 Dominus Purge, 1 Goes, and 1 Solemn. The only cards that I would maybe change here is the Pankratops because of the fact that, like, to be frank with you, I just wish I played 2 Lightning Storm instead. Pankratops is great, but Yummy isn't seeing as much play, at least in the locals that I play at, which is the only reason for that. With that in mind, thank you for watching my deck profile for Magnet Warrior. I'll be more attentive to the comments here if you would like to go and ask me any questions or discuss like play theory with the deck, but I will say Magnet Warrior is like a pretty fun deck. I wouldn't say it's like top tier competitive anymore because of the fact that a lot of people know what the deck does, but if you want a deck that is like really consistent and then sets up a pretty decent board and you get to play the cool Naturia cards, I would recommend this deck.